like, oh my god, this is such my jam before it went all mainstream. Have you seen the music video? It's so postmodern. I'm
Wait. Do you actually know what postmodern means?
Duh. Like after modern, you know.
Okay, no, I'm just gonna stop you right there. Nobody seems to know what postmodernism is. Nobody. Even people who have dedicated their whole lives to figuring it out are still uncertain at points. One day, I was in class and everyone was throwing around the word postmodernism. At one point, my teacher stops and says, "Does anybody have any questions?" So, like a crazy fool, I raise my hand and ask, "What is postmodernism?" Because we've been using that word to explain everything and I've got no idea what it means. Everybody whipped their heads around, and in a single moment of clarity, I could see their eyes grow massive. What is postmodernism? Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Why have we been led so far astray? Now think about it. This was my capstone class, the pinnacle of my lit degree. We'd been reading philosophy and studying literary theory for years. I don't know if it was because we're a bunch of stupid sheep or whether we'd collectively given up and failed as a group, but nobody could explain what postmodernism is. The professor tried, he really did, but eventually he moved on to whatever he had originally planned. I don't think he was ready for such a bombshell of a question. So, pissed off and confused, I took to the internet. And that's where things got interesting. The Google definition of postmodernism is a late 20th century style and concept, arts, architecture, and criticism that represents a departure from modernism. Alright, so what the fuck is modernism? Google, once again, modernism is a style or movement in the arts that aims to break with classical and traditional forms, aka classicism. And that's when I stopped for the night. I couldn't handle going any deeper down the rabbit hole of isms and counter-isms. But it made me think, what if somebody could explain in simple layman's terms just what the fuck postmodernism is? Postmodernism is a series of ideas, and like all ideas, they are built upon the ideas that came before them. Now, we could follow the breadcrumbs all the way back to the chronological bedrock that historians like to call prehistory, but that would be boring. So here's a super simplified version of all the stuff that came before. A couple thousand years ago, there were the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans, known as the Greco-Roman world. They believed nature was perfect and art should strive to be like nature. This was called classicism. But they all died or something, doesn't matter. Fast forward to around the 18th century, all that Enlightenment stuff, and a bunch of new people were like, "Hey guys, our world has made significant advances in the past 2 millenniums, but those guys like to paint trees, and we like to paint trees. Maybe we should base our beliefs off theirs." And thus, neoclassicism was born. Which, let's be honest, is a little weird. Now, to give them credit, they weren't content with just saying nature was perfect. They believed nature could be proven perfect using science and empirical evidence. Which didn't exactly work. But the idea caught on, and before they knew it, everyone was trying to use science and logic to explain the world! Okay, I know what you're thinking. Empirical research, science, didn't magically spawn out of the Enlightenment. It'd been around for thousands of years, even before the Greco-Roman world. But it wasn't until the Enlightenment that people as a unit started to view facts as more important than emotions, which was a pretty big deal. Anyways, back to the tree humping. But then there was the counterculture, Romanticism. To them, nothing is more important than the aesthetic value of emotions and personal experience. They have a serious problem with the Enlightenment. Science be damned! Science raped my father and killed my mother! That's not even rational! Don't tell me that, it's my personal experience, damn it! They start fighting! Alright, so maybe it wasn't like a literal fight, but more of a battle of ideas. But come on, this is bitchin'.
No! 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 No!
So the Enlightenment has been around for a while. They're starting to look old and feeble. The people want something fresh, something young, something new. The Romantics have all these things. It looks bad for the Enlightenment when suddenly... BAM! Modernism is in the house, kicking ass and taking names. It's all over.
Oh my God. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. No! No! No!
Okay, we're here. We've made it to modernism. And postmodernism. Because let's be honest, postmodernism is really just the rebellious youth of modernism. Modernism has been biding its time in the background since the late 1800s, waiting to jump into the limelight. That time didn't come until right after World War I. Until World War I, technology was mainly used to help people. Now all of a sudden it was being used to kill without discretion or concern. After the war, men left lost and confused, not sure what they just experienced. This was the lost generation. They just traveled around, no home, drinking and writing their sorrows away. Their foundation completely shaken, new ideas started to seep in. Karl Marx, with his ideas that capitalism is hypocritical and we are all still just slaves to the dollar, gained significant ground. Friedrich Nietzsche, with controversial statements like God is dead, struck true with a lot of men who couldn't understand an all-powerful being allowing World War I to happen. Even Freud, with his idea of id, ego, and superego, took hold among some critical thinkers. All of these ideas made people question the social, economic, and political beliefs of the time. Of course, when any culture gets too comfortable, there's going to be some group to come in and try and shake things up. Enter postmodernism. Like I said before, postmodernism is the rebellious child of modernism. Maybe postmodernism is an attempt to correct the mistakes of modernism. Maybe it's just trying to stand out in a system which is all about structure. A system where everything has a clear boundary and you do not cross that boundary. Anyways, there's some distinct differences between modernism and postmodernism. Modernists believe in progress, that technology and science are the way for humanity to improve. Postmodernists also believe that technology leads to progress, but many of them don't necessarily think that progress is a good thing. This leaves many postmodernists feeling nostalgic and moody. You know all those Facebook pages about how the 90s were so much better than today? That's what I'm talking about. Modernists believe in genres and clear-cut lines to define those genres. They like making art that falls nicely into categories. That's why songs like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, Guns N' Roses' November Rain, and Aerosmith's Walk This Way are all considered rock. Well, okay, now they're labeled classic rock, but the point is that three very different songs easily fall under one genre because of their similarities. Postmodernism, on the other hand, focuses on what makes the song different. Modernism is all like, what you doing? And postmodernism is all organizing the music. Yeah, by genre? Yep, this is house music, and this is acid house, and this is ambient house, and this is ambient pop, and ambient techno, and drone music, and stop! Alright, you caught me. I looked up a list of music genres on Wikipedia. What did you want me to do? Invest brain cells in that? Actually, modernists would say yes, invest those brain cells! Modernism urges you to embrace all the knowledge possible for a certain subject so you can become an expert in that subject. Postmodernism doesn't believe things need to be memorized. They have all the knowledge they could possibly want thanks to the internet. It's not your ability to remember information that matters, it's your ability to find that information. The upside to that is that postmodernists have a significant pool of knowledge to draw from. The downside? Well, call your local cable or satellite provider.
I asked for a margarita.
Well, I made you this instead. All I know how to make. Oh, wait! There's that whole identity separation thing too. Say a woman born in Latin America moves to the UK when she was so young that she could hardly remember her place of origin. If she has a modernist outlook, she would call herself herself. She is she and no one can tell her who she should be. If she has a postmodernist outlook, she'll take strides to acknowledge the various fragmented titles given to her by society, weigh the costs and merits of each, and make a conscious decision on which ones to embrace or reject. Modernism enjoys the ideas of grand theories and master narratives, which probably explains that love for Freud, Marx, and Nietzsche. All of them had these broad, overarching theories attempting to explain society and how it changes. Well, modernism took all these theories with a grain of salt. They truly did enjoy them, and for the most part, accepted them. Postmodernism, on the other hand, denies such grand theories, saying that it is impossible to identify any fundamental truths within human society. No two humans are alike, and therefore no two societies are alike, so one thing that is true for one society will not necessarily be true for another. And this is wild. This is interesting, because the idea that there are no fundamental truths within human society is just concrete enough, just broad enough to be a fundamental truth all on its own. But if it is a fundamental truth, then it's a lie, and no longer a fundamental truth. Fucking paradoxes! I don't know, maybe that tells us something about postmodernism. Postmodernism is, above all else, a system rejecting binary systems. The rule isn't simply black or white, hot or cold, straight or gay, empire or republic. The world is full of shades of gray. It's not the world. And each of these shades is being explored consciously and unconsciously by all of us. Modernism and postmodernism both accept that life is a fragmented, chaotic thing. But while modernism attempts to prevent the fragmentation from worsening, postmodernism accepts these fragmented shards that, when scattered together, make up our lives. Maybe that's why postmodernism is so hard to define. It's like trying to see the forest through the trees. We're too deeply ingrained in the postmodern world. Someday postmodernism will pass, just like every ism that came before it. When it does, maybe the people of the next era will be able to understand this era so much better than we can. I don't know, maybe I'm looking too deep into it. What do you think?
I think you talk too much.
Yeah, I do.